Tempo man, tempo man, tempo man. Shalawaz, TK with fire, Trey Taylor, Torah teaching, monkey nigga killer. All right, we got a panel on today. Got my brethren, the Torah Knights, Devion, Josh, SOJ, Isaiah in the building, Xavier, Trey, Niggy. I'm about to bring it to you raw, uncut, Temponomics, one-on-one. Now I'm gonna let Isaiah, you go ahead and take over. Let's feed the flock. And I pray Yahweh opens your eyes and gives you ears to hear. You know what I mean? And gives your soul, you know, spreads his glory on your soul, I should say. I don't know. I'm trying to speak eloquent. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's get it.
Okay, so basically we're gonna go over the temple, some of its designs, and a little bit of what the temple's about, because there's been kind of like rumors around and word around that the temple man is like Kabbalah or something. And we just wanted to clear that up because there's many scriptures. The Tanakh pretty much explains the temple man by Cubit. You know, pretty much lays like the entire design out. So, you know, we're gonna just bring out some scriptures to show you, to reassure people out there, because it's like pretty ridiculous. So, all right, just 1 second.
Con. Rumorville is never good. That's what Torah Nights is here, is to dispel the rumors. You know what I'm saying?
Con.
I'm seeing some of the images that I saw on the website I was talking to you guys about before we went live. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. Oh yeah,
the one. See my screen?
Yeah, I see it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, we can see it.
And especially that design, but the one that has the different parts highlighted.
This one?
No, close that and I'll show it to you. It's the one that has like the gold chest, the copper legs.
I'll go back. Let's see. Oh, this one?
Yeah, it's the one. It's like 1, 2.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, that's. Well, yeah, it's like the third row. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's it. You had it. You had it there.
This one.
Because that's pretty neat. Templesecrets.info. That was it. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's terrible.
But it's all Jewish. They did it from a Jewish perspective, so that kind of aberrant sexuality. What?
Is this all right? I don't know.
I don't think so.
That looks weird. I don't understand what that is at all.
It's some kind of voodoo, I guess.
That look like the Nebuchadnezzar statue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what they were saying. They were saying it was like the statue Nebuchadnezzar saw.
That's madness. It said mouth and taste.
Well, that's what you get when you talk about Jewish stuff. You get crazy stuff.
Yeah. People don't realize the Jewish things are just biting from us, so they get twisted and think that like it's somehow the other way around. But here I'm gonna start from Exodus chapter 25, and I'm gonna start from verse 3. Actually, no, I'm gonna start from verse 8, and it says, "They shall make a sanctuary for me, so that I may dwell among them, like everything that I show you, the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its vessels, and you shall do. They shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits in length, 1.5 cubits in width, and 1.5 cubits in height. You shall cover it with pure gold from within and from without shall you cover it. You shall make on it a gold crown all around. You shall cast for it 4 rings of gold and place them on its 4 corners. 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the second side. You shall make staves of acacia wood and cover them with gold, and insert the staves in the rings on the staves of the ark, with which to carry the ark. The staff shall remain in the rings of the ark; they may not be removed from it. You shall place in the ark of the You shall place in the ark the testimonial tablets that I shall give you. So basically, this is just the verse explaining part of the Ark of the Covenant, which is in the Holy of Holies in the Temple Man, which if you can see on the screen is the head of the Temple Man, and between the two those I think they're like torches that are like always lit. Between those is where the Ark of the Covenant sits. And it's this like it's what just was explained here. It's like a golden crate or like a cube, and with inside of it is the Ark of the Testimony, the 2 tablets, which is the 10 Commandments that Moses will receive from the finger of Yahweh on the mountain the second time, because the first ones he broke. And also what goes inside the Ark of the Covenant, I think it's the staff of Moses, a jar of some of the manna, right? The staff of Moses and a jar of some of the manna also goes into the Ark of the Covenant. And it's in the Holy of Holies behind there. That's the tent tabernacle right there. Yep, that's what I just explained. The holiest holy parts. The Temple Man was the biggest Temple Man, the one that we just had up there. That's the temple that Solomon built. That's the most up to date, I guess you would say. But this is the one that Moses and the other Israelites moved around with. This was the tent form, and behind the curtain of the Ark of the Covenant right there is the incense altar. And if you just give me a second, I'm gonna move to the verses to the incense altar. And it represents the heart. It has a lot to do with David, because he was a man after Yahweh's heart, and he represented like the heart like in Israel. And Solomon represented wisdom, which was like the mind. Just 1 sec. Move to the incense altar. Here it is. All right. It says, this is Exodus chapter 30, verse 1. And it says, "You shall make an altar on which to bring incense up in smoke. Of acacia wood shall you make it. Its length a cubit and its width a cubit. It shall be a square, and its height 2 cubits. From it shall be horns. From it shall its horns be. You shall cover it with pure gold, its roof and its walls all around, and its horns. And you shall make for it a gold crown all around. You shall make for it 2 gold rings under its crown on its 2 corners, and you shall make on its 2 sides. And it shall be for housing or staves, with which to carry it. You shall make the staves of acacia wood and cover them with gold. You shall place it before the partition that is by the ark of the testimonial tablets, in front of the cover that is on the testimonial tablets, where I shall set my meeting with you. Upon it shall Aaron bring the spice incense up in smoke every morning. When he cleans the lamps, he shall bring it up in smoke. And when Aaron kindles the lamps in the afternoon, he shall bring it up in smoke. Continual incense before Yahweh for generations. You shall not bring upon it alien incense or an elevation offering or a meal offering, nor may you pour a libation upon it. Aaron shall bring atonement upon his horns once a year for the blood of the sin offering of the atonements. Once a year shall he bring atonement upon it for your generations. It is holy of holies to Yahweh. And that is the incense altar. And that's where we bring up the spices and the other pleasing aromas to Yahweh up right there. And it like symbolizes the heart, because when you pray, it's like you're burning the incense altar. And it's like you're you're rising up to Yahweh. You're like when you're pouring out your prayer, it's like you're pouring a prayer from your heart, from your incense altar, you know. And then it's like the incense altar smoke will in the temple, it will rise. I think it will rise past the the holy of holies, like it'll rise upward past the stairs, and then above it, like towards the like mind, you know. And it's like it represents like that incense rising to the mind, like it's not to the mind, but like to Yahweh. Yeah, it's like rising up to heaven. But if you're like offering like pig on the altar, it's gonna stink. Like Yahweh's not gonna listen. You see what I'm saying? But you have to be
Let me add on something. Sorry to cut you off, Isaiah.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Let me add something. It's 2D. It's 2D here. So you represent the lamb, the unblemished lamb, right? Like you said, Yahweh doesn't accept what was it, foreign smoke? What was it? Foreign incense? Foreign incense. Now, when I first was learning this, I was thinking of foreign incense as like cigarettes, you know what I mean? Anything that pollutes the body, unclean foods, and also unclean actions. So whatever sins. So when you pray, it has to be sincere of heart. That's the incense burning, right? Those coals, and push it up, and Yahweh has to accept it, you know. And you will know when he does accept it. That's the beauty of it and the power of it. It's a beautiful thing to know you're coming sincere of heart and clean. What else? Also, one thing I learned before too was the kind of Bashem. I wish I could bring out this precept. I don't have it on me about the cannabis, the fragrant reed, right? Yahweh loves that aroma too. That will open up powers you never seen before. Because he also adds in the Tanakh, he says, "Why haven't you bought me fragrant reed or kind of Bashem, a marijuana, with your money? Why have you not sacrificed that for me?" So that's one big step that brought me to that next level. In the not the Holy of Holies, not yet, but they got me to the workings of the inner man, the temple, very fast. It didn't take long. Also, like I learned from one of Judah Nazar's videos, the blood. Like I'm gonna get more into the blood with the Passover, but with this dashing the blood, I believe he said it signifies or represents. Josh, back me up if I'm wrong, but it represents the learning and the striving. It's almost like the binding, like a binding contract. Am I right on that, Josh?
Right.
Okay.
And it also represents the life. So it is what it's basically essentially what binds us inside as in our flesh, you know what I'm saying? But when it's ignited, it's filled with oxygen, you know what I'm saying? Our blood cells. So that's correct. It is a binding agent.
God. I remember yesterday, me and you, Josh, were talking about the coals on the heads. I don't know. I'm feeling something in the spirit about these coals. It's almost like, you know what I'm saying, can you take that heat once Yahweh turns it up? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. And that also goes into the basically, if you will, for lack of better words, the ignition. We know inside the Holy of Holies, whenever your Holy of Holies, whenever Yahweh comes and sits, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like a flame, but it's going to ignite the whole body. So that's another reason why people, you know, have issues whenever, you know, when their body starts to get filled with that light. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, how do I react? In other words,
God.
Con.
Isaiah, go ahead.
And what I would also like to say, like, there's like smoke rising on 3 different levels on the temple, man. If Brother Chantel, do you think you can go back to that other picture, the other one, the one that we used, the temple man design? Pretty much like at the base, at the copper altar, that's where the sacrifices are brought up at, and the sea of bronze is where you wash the feet of the of some of the sacrifices and the hides and whatnot, you know, and you bring it up in smoke on the sacrifice altar at the feet at the base, and there's smoke rising from the sacrifice altar. There's smoke rising from the incense altar, and then when Yahweh's presence dwells between the cherub, there's smoke rising from between the cherub, you know, the cherubim. So it's like 3 different levels of smoke rising. It represents 3 different levels of you, like, coming to like a higher form of consciousness. You got to raise yourself on the very first layer, you know, which purifies you, and then you got to raise yourself in the incense altar in your heart, you know, which purifies you and rises you. And then when you get to the Holy of Holies, which not a lot of people like get to, you know, like when we're talking like in sense of physically, I don't think it's ever been not a lot of people allowed in the Holy of Holies. So it's like when the smoke is dwelling there, it's like in now I'm not gonna say enlightenment, but when you're in the holy place, you're like learning from the TORAH. So I'm sorry, I'm loud, but you're like enlightened, not already, but hey, you're on the right path. You know, if you're in the Holy of Holies, learning from the TORAH, and honestly, you just want to at least be able to be there and to at least get yourself on the sacrifice altar and rise from that. You know, because you want to develop a relationship with Yahweh. You want to try to show him that you can do better than just fall to your carnality. You know. So that's what the sacrifice altar represents. And I was just I wanted to back up Brother Traytel, what he said about the Quanah Bashem, and that's what it says in the Aramaic. But this is the verse, Exodus chapter 30, I think, Exodus chapter 30, verse 34, and it says, Yahweh said to Moses, "Take for yourself spices, state, anchak, galbum, spices of pure frankincense. These shall be of an equal weight. You shall make it into a spice compound, the handiwork of a perfumer, thoroughly mixed, pure and holy. You shall grind some of it finely and place some of it before the testimonial tablets in the tent of meeting, where I shall designate a time to meet you. It shall remain holy of holies to you. The incense that you shall make, it is a proportion you shall not make. The incense that you shall make, it is a proportion you shall not make for yourselves. It shall remain holy to you for Yahweh. Whoever makes it like to smell, whoever makes its like to smell it shall be cut off from his people."
Khan. Something I want to add on to that. This is the scripture I was talking about earlier. Now, I've done my homework on this calamus. That's just kind of a shim. Like they call it fragrant reed, sweet something, and calamus. I looked up all this. They all link up to the same thing. Marijuana. Yeah. Say it again.
They call it fragrant cane.
Fragrant cane. Yep. And there's a sweet something. Oh, fragrant reed. There's a reed as well. There's a reed. I'm gonna read it. You have not. This is Yahweh. You have not bought any kind of bashim from me, or lavished on me the fat of your sacrifices, but you have burdened me with your sins and wearied me with your offenses. Yahweh God. All right. All right. You done with that, Isaiah?
Yeah. Some more things about the temple. The priests they had to minister in the temple. I think the high priests, they had plates on their heads. They said holy to Yahweh. And I'm gonna read that verse for you. And it says Exodus chapter 28, verse 36. And it says, you shall make a head plate of pure gold, and you shall engrave upon it engraved like the signet ring, holy to Yahweh. You shall place it on a cord of turquoise wool, and it shall be on the turban. Opposite the front of the turban shall it be. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, so the Aaron shall be so the Aaron shall bring forgiveness for a sin regarding the sacred offering that Yahweh, the sacred offerings that the children of Israel consecrate for any gifts of their sacred offerings, and it shall be on the forehead always to bring them favor before Yahweh. So Aaron had to wear this head plate that said holy to Yahweh, you know what I mean? So he was consecrated to perform the offerings, to provide atonement, or atonement, or the sacrifice offerings, to try to have to perform out the offering sacrifices, you know what I'm saying? He was basically, he had to have the seal, the rank, not the rank, but the authority from Yahweh, So his mind has a plate, his head on it has a plate says holy to Yahweh. And it's related to the temple man, because the head of the temple man says holy of holies. It is the holy of holies. Only Aaron can go in there. And the highest priest, and that's where the presence of Yahweh dwells, between the cherubs. So it's like the same, holy to Yahweh, and in the holy of holies, like on the actual design of the temple man. And I was gonna go over the lavers, which are like the fingers. They're like by the pre-cells on the I'm not gonna say northern or south. I think it'll be eastern part of the pre-cells, and they're like in the finger spots that your fingers would be, and I was gonna go over those. Do any other brothers want to bring out anything?
Yeah, I got something, man. There was something. I'm gonna backtrack for a second and go back to what you were talking about. How the altar is a representation of Dawad as far as incense. Something that people can look at in a good comparison is the fact that Dawad wrote many songs, and many psalms, many of them in communication with Yahweh. So that's something that our people, who are the listeners, can go back and check out and make a correlation with. And another thing is, if you go to Exodus 25, 1 through 7, we see that our people were actually given a commission to donate things and offerings in order to make the foundation of the tabernacle. Now I'm backtracking now because you're talking about Solomon's temple, so I'm going back to the tabernacle and in the wilderness, where our people's donations, which they gave freely, were used to make the foundation of the tabernacle. And I think that's something that needs to be noted amongst Yasharal, is that this is a free will thing, and that that people need to set aside time within themselves as and as it correlates to us being the sacrifice, set time within themselves to dive into these scriptures and to go into this temple. So, and bringing it back now to, well, I guess we can stay at the tabernacle one too, both of them, where Aaron represents your angelic self, and that angelic self to present an incense offering or an offering that which rises up, so that that communion with the Holy of Holies can be there. So I just wanted to kind of just sum that up and just bring it back up to date to where we are right now, and for our people who are listening, and that we can't stress this enough. These are spiritual teachings. So go ahead, brother.
All right. Basically, I was gonna say something about the lavers, but I had forgot that I didn't talk about the menorah yet, and I think that I wanted to say something about the menorahs. I'm gonna go to oh yeah, and that was I understand exactly what you were saying, brother Josh, and that was a great insight, because I had never thought about the Aaron and him representing your angelic self, and that just clicked when you said that, and it's like, oh yeah, wow, you know what I'm saying? But Exodus chapter 25, and it says, Exodus chapter 25 verse 31, and it says, you shall make a menorah of pure gold, hammered out shall the menorah be made, its base, its shaft, its cups, its knots, and its blossoms shall be hammered from it. 6 branches shall emerge from its sides, 3 branches of the menorah from the one side, and 3 branches of the menorah from the second side. 3 cups engraved like almonds. On one branch, a nod and a flower, and 3 cups engraved like almonds. On the next branch, a nod and a flower. So for the 6 branches that emerge from the menorah, and on the menorah shall be 4 cups engraved like almonds, its knots and its flowers. A knob shall be under 2 of its branches from it. A knob shall be under 2 of its branches from it, and a knob under 2 of its branches from it. For the 6 branches emerging from the menorah, their knots and their branches shall be of it, all of it, a single hammered piece of gold. You shall make its lamps 7, and shall kindle its lamps so as to give light towards its face. Its tongues and its spoons shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with all the vessels. See and make according to their form that you are shown on the mountain. And that is the menorah. And pretty much actually the middle menorah, I'm pretty sure, I think it's supposed to be a little higher than the other 3 on each side. And because the middle is like the base, I think. But pretty much the menorah represents like the 7. It's like 7 I'm not gonna say wisdoms, huh? Isn't it like the 7 angels or something like that? But yeah, I'm sorry. But pretty much the middle one represents Angel Michael, and then the 3 on each other side represent the other significant angels that I don't know their names exactly. But pretty much if you count the menorahs and then you go from each, it says, well, I have a diagram in my room, and like other things that like pretty much name out on each menorah what it's supposed to represent. And it's like, it goes like this. The first one is like fear of Yahweh, which would be like the first step. And then the second one would be knowledge. This third one would be might. In the middle would be counsel. The fifth one would be understanding. The sixth one will be wisdom. And then the seventh one would be like spirit, the spirit of wisdom. And well, the spirit of like Yahweh, but that's like the seventh, you know. But if any brothers had any else thing to say about the menorahs, yeah, the menorahs are also sitting on the tables, and there's 7 menorahs, and then there's 10 tables in the holy place, and Israel is meant to be a light to all the nations in the world. So if you were to multiply the 7 times the 10, you would get 70, right? And that represents the 70 nations. And Israel's supposed to be a light to all the 70 nations. And the menorahs on all the tables in the holy place are a light to the holy place, to the whole entire temple. They like illuminate light inside the holy place. So it's like representation of these principles Israel has to take on, Israel has to like strive for. And also, I mean, like after, like not like after, but like these principles, you know, as well as like these principles illuminating the person, you know, these principles illuminating Israel, and Israel in turns is a light to the nations. But do any brothers else want to say anything else?
Yeah. I want to bring out Exodus. This ties in with that, with the temple man. I'm going to start at Exodus 12, because we know we in the Passover season. People getting ready, you know, get their pagan holidays on. But we're going to bring out the truth of the Passover. All right. I'm going to start at Exodus 12. Start at verse 3. Speak to the entire assembly of Israel, saying, on the 10th of this month they shall take for themselves each man a lamb or kid, for each father's house a lamb or kid for the household. But the household will be too small for a lamb or kid. Then he and his neighbor who is near his house shall take according to the number of people. Everyone according to what he eats should be counted for the lamb or kid. Now, an unblemished lamb or kid, that represents, you know, our being, the man, has to be unblemished, right? Has to be a clean, a pleasing aroma to Yahweh, which is following his laws and being sincere of heart, contrite. Within its first year shall it be for you. From the sheep or goat shall you take it. It shall be yours for examination until the 14th day of this month. The entire congregation of the assembly of Israel shall slaughter it in the afternoon. They shall take some of the blood. Here we go with the blood again. Except this time it will be placed on the doorpost and on the lintel of the houses in which they will eat it. They shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted over the fire. And matzos, I don't know if that's even. Oh, that's right. And matzos with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. You shall not eat it partially roasted or cooked in water, only roasted over fire, its head, its legs, with its innards. All right, so I'll skip down. You shall eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You shall eat it in haste. It is a Pesach offering to Yahweh. And that night I shall go through Egypt, and I shall strike every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from man to beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I shall mete out punishment. I am Yahweh. The blood shall be a sign for you upon the houses where you are, when I shall see the blood, and I shall pass over you. There shall not be a plague of destruction upon you when I strike the land of Egypt. Now, I had a discussion with my wife. It was hard for her because she's still kind of one-dimensional, but she's getting it. I was trying to explain to her about the representation of what the true Passover is, and I was explaining to her that I'll just teach it now again. Blood on the doorpost. I'll put a picture up first. Let's see. Let's see. I'll just put this. Okay, so So that seals the covenant once again. So instead of the altar, you got the blood, the unbelievers' blood. Now it's sealing the door, right? Now it represents, like Josh said earlier, when we were discussing about it binds, represents the striving, right? To seek Yahweh, to see Yahweh's face, right? And you're inside. It says, go inside the house until the death angel passes over. So now you inside your house or your temple, right? The temple man, right? With the unblemished lamb that you eat, right? And that's the aroma pleasing to Yahweh, right? And what we're going to get into, I was going to have Devion bring out before Negi brings out the history. I want you to bring out the history. I even open up some Google pages if you have it on the to prove to debunk the Kabbalah bull. But I wanted Devion to bring out some scriptures for, because this is the past, present, and future. This is the time machine that Josh was bringing out earlier. I saw of what's in store for the future, as it happened in the past, so in the future, right? Nothing new under the sun. And if you're not in your temple man, I want Devion to bring out what's the consequences. Just bring out a few precepts of what Yahweh is going to do, like the actual, purges, floods, whatever you feel, brother. You got it.
Khan, shalom, shalom. All right, so I'm gonna take y'all to Psalms 27. I'm gonna start at verse 4. One thing I asked of Yahweh, that shall I seek, would that I dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to behold the sweetness of Yahweh and to contemplate in his sanctuary. Indeed, he will hide me in his shelter on the day of evil. He will conceal me in the concealment of his tent. He will lift me up upon a rock. So when you, as my brother Isaiah was talking about, like the ark, remember the testimonial tablets are in the ark. The ark is a representation of your mind. So it's when it's in your mind, it's like you're reflecting on it. Yahweh said, he the Torah as the apple of the eye. And when you read the Torah, it's like your reflection. So when you my bad, I got a brain fart. Salakia. So when you keep the tablets in your mind, you know that like you have the good counsel, you have the good advice, because your thoughts are more arranged. It's like it changes your perception about it changes your perception from the former self, which is what my brother Traytel was talking about, the Peshach offering. It's the Passover from like the Egypt mind state, like the earthly mind state. So when you're dwelling in his sanctuary, like you have the Torah in your mind. You think about the temple designs. You thinking about how can you how you elevate, how you get closer to Yahweh, how you get near Yahweh to come near him. And I'm gonna bring up some another verse. Give me 1 second while I get there right quick. I did want to touch on what my brother Isaiah was saying about the light unto the nations. So this is Micah 7. I'm gonna start at verse 8. Do not rejoice over me, my enemy, for though I fell, I will rise. Though I sit in the darkness, Yahweh is a light unto me. I shall bear the fury of Yahweh, for I have sinned unto him, until he will take up my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me out into the light. I will behold his righteousness. Then my enemy will see, and shame will cover her. She who said to me, where is Yahweh your God? My eyes will behold her. Now she will be trampling like the mud in the streets. So we're gonna be like a light unto the nations, like the children, the people that's the lowest among peoples, the sacrifice that's burning on the altar. Let me bring that verse out real quick. Bear with me, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Hey, brother Traytel, while brother Davion's getting that verse, do you think you can get this verse for me?
Yeah. What is it?
Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 10.
All right. Ezekiel 43.
There you go.
Ezekiel 43, verse 10. You son of man, tell the house of Israel about the temple, and let them be ashamed of their iniquities, and calculate the temple's design. If they become ashamed of all that they have done, then make known to them the form of the temple and its design, its exits and its entrances, and all its buildings forms, all its laws, all its design, and all its teachings, and write all this down before their eyes, so that they may safeguard its entire form and all its rules and fulfill them.
So that right there, Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 10, right there shows you that like Yahweh wants us to make known to our people the temple. And we don't have to go so far as to say, obviously, like the temple is in Kabbalah. Yahweh wants us to show and to make the temple known to our people. All its exes forms, all its entrances, all its vessels, all its teachings. So that's what we're doing today. We're bringing out a bit of the temple furniture, not as much as like all the teachings, because the temple has teachings forever. You can learn from the temple forever. So I had some other verses to bring out to explain in other different ways how our people were using the temple. But Brother Davion wanted to get that verse.
I got
Hey,
that.
you know what's one more real quick? You know what's cool about that as well? Like we can bring out the knowledge, we can bring it out the temple man, but it tells you in that precept you brought out, it doesn't matter if they're not sincere, right? Because Yahweh says he releases the knowledge, right? So it tells you. Let's see. Where we at? It was 43 verse what? Oh, verse 10 and 11. Right? So it's talking to you, son of man. You know, the one he's giving it to. He wants you to teach it to the world, right? Be a light. Let them know the forms like we're doing today. The exits and its entrances, all its building forms, all its laws, designs, teachings. So they may safeguard and fulfill them. Right? But only if he would allow them to be able to see it if they become ashamed of all that they have done. Right? So nobody can get this unless Yahweh gives it to you. We're just fulfilling our job as the oracles of Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? For him giving it to us, to to glorify his name, we're obligated to teach it. Right? He gives us a, like you think like it's just your own personal zeal, it was actually him giving you that zeal, pull him closer to you. And it's such a gift, you have to give it out free of charge. But at the same time, the people you give it to, if they want to trot on it, stomp on it, Yahweh's going to stomp them. Right? I just want to bring that out. Yahweh chooses who he wants at the end of the day as well. It's not just, I remember when I couldn't get to the 2D, I couldn't get to the second level because I was reading it, but I was just reading it. Like, I remember one video Josh brought out, he's like, are you seeing it or are you just reading it? I was just reading it and I couldn't get past that wall. Yahweh just saw that it wasn't my time yet. When I was trying to see the designs of the temple, it's funny, and I think back, I was looking at the measurements, actually like trying to see the measurements. What's 30 cubits? What's 80 cubits? And I sit back and laugh about that. I would actually go into Google and look up 30 cubits and try to convert it into feet and stuff like that so I can see it. So it's funny I think about it, but Yahweh is great. Yahweh is great. Go ahead, Devion.
All right. This Isaiah, I'm gonna start at verse 18. O deaf ones, listen, and blind ones gaze to see. Who was blind but my servant, and deaf is my messenger whom I sent? Who was blind like the perfected man, blind like the servant of Yahweh, seeing much but heeding not, opening ears but hearing not? Yahweh desired for the sake of Yasharal's righteousness that the Torah be made great and glorious. Verse 22, but it is a looted, downtrodden people, all of them trapped in holes and hidden away in prisons. They are looted, and there is no rescuer. There is no rescuer, plundered with none to say, give it back. Who among you will give ear to this, will hearken and hear the outcome? Who delivered Yaakov to plunder and Yasharal to looters? Was it not Yahweh, he against whom we have sinned? They did not wish to go in his ways and did not listen to his Torah. So he poured out his fiery wrath upon him and the power of war. It burned him from all around, but he did not know. It burned within him, but he did not take it to heart. So it's like you're not you're not picking up on the signs that like he's giving you. He's saying that like you didn't wish to heed his word. Like he gave you all the chances, but you still like not like you don't understand the signs that he's giving you. Like it burned it from all around, but he did not notice. So that's you just like burning on the sacrifice altar, and you don't know it because you still like some of our people like you know how they are. You living in the hood, like they don't have the right mindset. It's broken down. So of course, like some of them are not gonna listen. They don't want to heed like the they don't want to heed. They don't want guidance. The Torah gives you guidance. Yahweh gives you guidance. He said, don't stray to the left or don't stray to the right. You have to find that balance. You got to be in the middle, right? So I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to Psalms 26, verse 5. I hated the gathering of evildoers, and I did not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in purity and circle around your altar, Yahweh, to proclaim thanksgiving in a loud voice and to recount all your wondrous deeds. Yahweh, I love the shelter of your house and the place of your glorious residence. So remember, like the shelter, your house is the temple, is you within and without. So if you don't have the Torah in your mind, how are you gonna build the temple? Like in Ezekiel, he said, show him the temple designs, right? So you have to be able to build it up. But if you have understanding in your own heart and you going off your own intellect, which is not the Torah, which is not the Torah, then it's not gonna be built right. It's gonna be home. It's gonna be some parts missing. And
Exactly.
And I had one more verse.
I had a verse to bring out that complimented what you said.
All right, you go ahead.
And basically, the brother was saying you can't build a temple without the proper designs. And if you look at it, all the altars are cubes. You know, and the Ark of the Covenant is a cube. You know, and there's smoke rising from each of them. You know, and what is a cube essentially? It's length, width, and height. And I had a verse to go with that, and it's Leviticus chapter 19, verse 35, and it says, "You shall not commit a perversion in justice, in measures of length, width, or volume. You shall have correct scales, correct weights, correct dry measures, and correct liquid measures." 1 second. I am Yahweh, your God, who brought you forth from the land of Egypt. You shall observe all my decrees and all my ordinances. You shall perform them. I am Yahweh. So basically he says you shall not perform any in measures. And then he goes to say, you shall not perform any in measures of length, width, and volume, which means you're to perform correct and balanced measures in length, width, and volume, which is when you have correct length, width, and volume, you have like completeness, you have like stability. You know, each side is supporting the other equal to keep each side going. You know, it's like equal, and length, width, and height is also a form of like knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know, length, width, and like length, width, and volume would be like the physical manifestations, and then like knowledge, wisdom, and understanding would be like the spiritual inside. Like I
Con,
just want to say that to compliment the brother on that right there.
please let me add in something. You hit me with that equal weights and measures. That words get tossed around by Pan-Africans, New Ages, and they have no idea what they're talking about. They use it to fit, like, to win the arguments, which is like, it's actually kind of retarded. Like, that's how you can tell Yahweh, like, it sends them backwards. They're like, you might as well be crawling, right, on all fours. It's ridiculous. Like, they'll try and use it. It annoys me when they try to use it as saying, like, you can also use it as another level. Like when you said, the measurements, weights and equal, weights and balances, being holy to Yahweh, being righteous. It's also in the Torah as, when you're a judge. So there's rich and there's poor. So you don't take bribes to blind your judgments. It blinds the judges, taking bribes from the rich. So it's fair balances is that, rich and poor. So don't just give, somebody's innocent because they're rich, or or they're poor, they're guilty. That's the system we're living in today. That's just, we're in a wicked system, right? The whole world. So also another thing that really annoys me about that is they try to use this fake word race with that. Like, okay, why aren't you talking about the other nations? I'm not even going to say the colors because there's no such thing. Why are you talking about the other nations, right? I just want to bring this out because this really gets under my skin. So I'm going to go to Ezekiel chapter 3, right? I'll start at verse 1. He then said to me, son of man, that which you find, eat this scroll. Then go speak to the house of Israel. So that's what the commandment of Yahweh is. So open my mouth, and he fed me that scroll. And he said to me, son of man, feed your stomach and fill your innards with the scroll that I give to you. So I ate, and it was sweet as honey in my mouth. He said to me, son of man, go and approach the house of Israel. Not Edom, not Moab, not Ammon, Israel, right? And speak to them with my words. For not to a people of incoherent language and difficult speech you are being sent, but to the house of Israel. It is not to numerous peoples of incoherent language and difficult speech, whose words you cannot understand. Surely I had sent you to them, they would have heeded you. So he's making a clear separation of the two. As Yahweh does, he separates, right? But the house of Israel will not wish to heed you, for they do not wish to heed me. For the entire house of Israel is hard-browed and brazen-hearted. He said the entire house, right? Behold, I have made your face hard against their face, and your brow hard against their brow. Like a metal stronger than flint have I made your brow. Fear them not, and not be intimidated before them, though they are a rebellious house. So, that's a point I just had. That was going to say. Okay, so
I think I know where
you
you're
can be a
going.
light to the other nations. That's fine. But that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that.
As he tells you many times through the Tanakh, how can he represent and tell other nations of how to be if his own house isn't clean? So if he has to clean his own house first to be a light to the other nations. So that's where the purges and afflictions come into place. Putting you on that altar. You know what I'm saying? Taking you through those waters and purging you to be that perfect sacrifice, right? Which is Isaiah 27 verse 9. How do we be that perfect sacrifice? I go one more. Isaiah 27 verse 9. It's not hard. It's really not hard at all. That's how you know Israel's a very simple people. Yahweh made it like the most simplest he could possibly make it. Because that's love. 27 verse 9. Where's it at? Therefore, here we go. Therefore, through this Jacob's iniquity be atoned for, and this shall be the fruit of his sins removal. When he makes all the altar stones like ground chalk stones, and Asherah trees and sun idols arise no more. Simple. I'm gonna go to another translation. Let me see. Hold on. Isaiah 27 verse 9. Let's see. 7 verse 9. Okay.
I got more to talk. I got more to bring out about the temple.
It just says it in a different way. It's kind of like I just want to bring it out in a better translation. Here we go. I'll just do Yahweh did this to purge Israel's. That's not a good one. Okay. By this then Jacob's guilt will be atoned for. And this will be the full fruit of the removal of his sin. So then it has a colon. How do we do that? Even in my other JPS, it says by this alone. It says when he makes all the altar stones to be like limestone crushed to pieces, no asherah poles or incense altars will be left standing. So that's all the foreign gods, foreign incenses, right? You got to crush them on the outside, right? Which is not joining in on the the festivals and the pagan holidays, things like that nature. That's the first part. But then the second part, which how Yahweh sees, is the internal, because the internal manifested outside. So you can't be praying to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say that the name, but you know what I mean, the so-called son, right? Because you are the son, you are the temple man. That he's striving to be that man, right? So you got to crush all these altar stones and all these things you were programmed to worship and get them out the way in a precepts to the first 2 commandments, right? Thou shalt worship me alone, right? No images. And that's how all your sins will be purged, because he leads you. It's so simple. He will guide you the rest of the way. Once you call on him, it's a wrap. Once you call on him, say his name alone, the rest will be purged out. Hallelujah. Just want to bring that up.
Con, hallelujah, no doubt.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. I didn't know if you could hear me. So can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I just didn't know if my mic was working or not.
Yeah,
Well,
Nigga, you can go ahead. I got the Google if you want me to bring up some stuff on that Kabbalah to debunk.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Kabbalah is pretty much Jewish mysticism, but it's been used for other things. And like, for example, you'll hear magicians using it. What they use is Hermetic Kabbalah. The Kabbalah that most people know, the Jewish one, is pretty much designed to bolster the Jewish religion. So everything they do, they find a mystical interpretation of it. And yeah, it's a mess. The whole thing is meant to look very sophisticated and complicated. And people spend years and years of their lives studying this stuff. You wouldn't catch me caring about this. I barely care about it as someone who studies mysticism, so it's really not, it's not worth anyone's time, and I wouldn't ever say that Judah is teaching mysticism. Well, he's not teaching, he's teaching mysticism, but he's not teaching Kabbalah. So there's a big difference.
And I'm asking you guys and myself too. Can you please explain to me, how can this even be? Is it like the left-hand knowledge of the Torah? How can it be even? If the Torah was before, how can it even be connected? I don't get it.
Well, what they do is they go into the Hebrew language, or the so-called Hebrew language of the Torah, and they find things in it that aren't even plain in the language. I'm talking about they'll take the letter of one word, the letter of another word, and then they'll find a way of making that into an acrostic or something. And that's what Kabbalah is. It's a weird way to interpret the scriptures. And then there are books that are supposedly written with the help of Elijah and other prophets. And the one that I'm thinking of first is the Zohar, which means radiance. And that's your original Kabbalistic text. So it's based off of the Torah, but it's not. It's like vaguely based off the Torah.
hey, Khan, hey, Negi, yeah, what Negi saying is correct. You mind if I go real quick? I got something to bring out, man. All right, yeah, check this out. All right, this is what our people need to realize, right? Is that anybody that's like, people don't realize the level of deception that occurs here, and especially refined for Yasharal, right? you know, a lot of different nations get deceived, right? But Yasharal, for some reason in this world, gets the special treatment of deception. You know what I'm saying? Like the most harsh things. And I'll bring out my point here, right? Since we're talking about the Kabbalah and the so-called tree of life, right? They call that design that y'all see right there the tree of life. So, but this is why I say the level of deception is specifically made for the true Jew, so to speak, or the Yasharal. And that is because that is not the tree of life. That, in fact, is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You know what I'm saying? So, but they will get you to believe that it's the tree of life by calling it tree of life. And like, and to point out what Negi is saying, they make it something shiny and something beautiful, you know, kind of like the ball of light that Paul saw. You know what I'm saying? And so that being the case, then you can backtrack, and that's why we say the temple is about height, length, and width. And what y'all got to see is that space and time is within that too. So Yahweh is in control of all things, space and time, all of it. And to further bring it home, if you go back to the garden and you see that the tree of knowledge and good and evil was uh was um was catered was that the serpent was catering to that particular tree, then you can see why so-called Egyptian mystery school worships knowledge, right? Because we know that we don't worship knowledge because Yahweh told us to seek wisdom. So that there in that alone, we can see the difference is that all these so-called nations out here practicing sorcery and having you worship knowledge, they say knowledge is power, right? That's what they say. Knowledge is power. But that's not the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody owns knowledge, but the serpent will want you to believe that. So some brothers who go to Pan-Africanism claim that that the serpent is wisdom. And if you go to Egyptology or Kemet, then you'll see that the little serpent on top of their forehead was representing knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to bring that home right there for our listeners out there who may be getting sidetracked by things. But y'all brothers can continue, man. These are great lessons, man. Yahweh be praised.
Yahweh, God.
Khan,
Hey.
I just
I would cut.
Is there anything else anyone else wants to know?
Oh, one more thing. Josh is hit me up to something. Because I was watching the Never Ending Story yesterday with the kids. They got bored of it. But they still got a short attention span. But the serpent was on the cover of the book. I was trying to figure out what that was about. It was like I think his tail was in his mouth. Anybody know anything about that?
Oh yeah,
yes, yeah.
The Ouroboros. It's like a snake eating its tail. It's a symbol of infinity. But the thing about that so-called tree of life is that what its real name is the Sephiroth or the Sephiroth. And that just means like wheels of fire, because those things are like different aspects. It's not really the tree of life. That's like a misnomer.
Khan, and also what Negi's bringing out, you see, people got to look at the big picture here. You know what I'm saying? Because look at what he's describing, the rings of fire, right? Didn't Yahweh show us that the most beautiful one that fell was of the fire? You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong. Isn't that in Isaiah? Or is that what they go into as far as the shining one, the fallen one?
Yes, that's Lucifer,
The
Halel,
beautiful
the
angel
morning
of the
star.
fire. Right.
But yeah,
The beautiful angel of the fire.
what they are is they're like spheres. They're not like fire literally. They're like spheres and states of being, but the thing is, it's just meant to be a map to help you. It's not like it's actual anything real.
In that movie, Never Ending Story that Tratel's talking about, and it has the snake eating itself, kind of like people worshiping themselves and thinking that they're the beginning and the end, right? But like in that movie, think about it. The movie, for all those who haven't seen it, the main palace of that place is the Ivory Tower in a place called Fantasia. You know what I'm saying? But Fantasia was threatened by what? The nothing, right? So on the flip side, when you look at that movie, you can see why everyone has the fear of Yahweh, or the ones who get shook by Yahweh, I should say, because to them, Yahweh is the nothing coming to take their Fantasia apart. You know what I'm saying? So that's why people just got to be open to discernment so that they can see these things. You know what I mean? I digress.
I noticed that everybody was just scared. It's like, why is everybody so scared of everything? That's a good breakdown. All right, Xavier, you got something to bring out?
Shalom, shalom. I most definitely do. And what I'm gonna bring out is pretty much it's the 3 degree system that's within the temple, man. So I'm gonna take you to Hosea first. We're gonna go down to Hosea chapter 6 and it's verse 1. And well, actually, let me start off at Hosea chapter 5, verse 14, and then I'm gonna read all the way down through verse 2 of the next chapter, and it says, "For I am like a lion to Ephraim, and like a lion's whelp to the house of Judah. As for me, I will mangle and I will go. I will carry off and no one will rescue. I will go. I will return to my place until they acknowledge their guilt and seek my face. In their distress, they will seek me." This is from the words of Yahweh. He's talking about his people, us, Yasharah. And I'm going to continue. It says, "They will say, 'Come, let us return to Yahweh, for he has mangled us, and he will heal us. He has smitten, and he will bandage us.'" See that right there, and I'm gonna break that down. See that first verse is pretty much the first degree, which is acknowledgement. You know, we gotta acknowledge your guilt to your to Yahweh. That's like the only way you can be able to come back, because you have to humble yourself. You have to admit that you have had sin, and then you didn't have no structure, and you have to pray for forgiveness. So that's like the sacrifice. You know, you have to sacrifice with your prayer. So we have to come to that knowledge to say that we have messed up, and He's going to heal us. He's going to bandage us. And let me continue. And then it says, "He will heal us after 2 days." See, 2 days. The 3 degree process basically it stands for Israel. On the first degree is the dead man. You know, as a nation, we're dead. The second degree is going to be acknowledgement, coming up to realization of what we're doing, and then the third degree is the standing up, the upright living man. You know, the righteous man. Once you have crossed over the Jordan, you know, the holiest holies. That's kind of like the celestial man right there, and that's what we all achieve for to be at a third degree. Let me continue to read as well. And then it says, "On the third day, he will rise up and we will live before him." See, the third day is the standing up man. So as a nation, we're going to come back to life. We're going to be standing up, and he's going to be in our midst, because we then at that moment we will have been worthy, you know, to see his face, to see his goodness. Um, Let me continue as well. And it says, "Let us know, let us strive to know Yahweh, like the dawn whose emergence is certain. Then he will come to us like the rain, like the late rain that saturates the earth." You know, you have to pray for rain. You know, we was that's kind of how, you know, we have to pray for most of the things that we need, because he likes to see that, you know. um and I'm gonna go down to verse 6 in chapter 6 of Hosea, and it says, "For I desire kindness, not sacrifice, and knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. But they, like Adam, transgressed my covenant. There they betrayed me." So he's telling you right there that he doesn't desire that burnt sacrifice, that deity, that false sun god, fertility god, whatever, on a stick burning for like millions of people. It doesn't work like that, you know. He desires kindness and the knowledge of God. How is she going to get the knowledge of God, like the true living God of life? It's just through his Tanakh, his TORAH. um and then I got some more uh precepts. I'm going to take you to Joel. You know what, Joel? Give me a second, I'll get there. Excuse me. Okay, so let's see.
Hey, while you getting that, I just want to have a good laugh. I always can find a laugh. Check this out. Y'all see this?
What is it?
It's Jeebus.
Oh no.
What's he doing?
He's cooking the lamb, and the lamb.
You know what that looks like to me? That looks like some mushrooms got mixed up in there too. Them,
Salvador Dali.
yeah, mushrooms, exactly.
I
Salvador Dali stuff was crazy.
guess Brad Pitt's the sweet aroma.
I guess.
That's gross.
Fury.
Like, man, like people really believe in that. People believe that's they savior.
I know,
That's
man.
crazy.
It's so sad, man. You gotta laugh, you know. Hey, I got something on what X was bringing out real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Yo, because you was talking about the 3-degree system, right?
Con.
Okay, so what that reminded me of, there's a quote from the Book of Jubilees, right? And this is to show height, length, and width, about how Arat is Yahweh's in the fullness thereof. Now, people can't see the Arat as an actual sanctuary, but they should. You know what I'm saying? So, on that note, check it out. In the Book of Jubilees, right? There's a what is it? Jubilees 8:19. It says, and this is talking about Noah, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the holy of holies and the dwelling of the Lord, or Yahweh, and Mount Sinai the center of the desert, and Mount Zion the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other. Now, does that not sound very similar to 3 degrees in alignment, right? Created as holy places,
Okay.
right? So,
Con.
yo, just want to bring that one out right there. I digress.
I know.
I like that. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I have a couple more some good scriptures and some breakdowns for you guys. But let's go to Joel, and I'm going to start by I'm gonna read Joel chapter 2 verse 12, and it's telling us kind of how what like he's always telling us what he expects from us and how we should come back to him. So this is just a nice precept based off that. And it says, "Even now, the word of Yahweh, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with lamentation. Rend your hearts and not your garments, and return to Yahweh your God. For he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and of great kindness, and he relents of evil. And then it says, whoever knows, let him repent and regret, and it will leave a blessing behind it for meal offering and libatation to Yahweh your God. So, just right there, he says, rend your hearts, not your garments. That's kind of like turning away that lower carnal self, which is another form of the sacrifice in the temple. You know, he wants you to check your heart and see where your heart is. You know, he measures the heart. He measures it with righteousness, um, um, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as well. And that's just one of the precepts. I'm gonna go down to Joel chapter. This I believe it's Joel chapter 3 now, and um, it's verse 18, and he says, then Yahweh will take up the cause of his land and take pity on his people. Yahweh will reply and say to his people, behold, I am sending you the grain and the wine and the oil, and you will be sated from it, and I will no longer make you a disgrace among the nations. See right there, the grain, the wine, and the oil that represents like nourishment, fulfillment, and like satisfaction, which is the knowledge, the temple knowledge. You know, he's going to give us that knowledge, the knowledge that we've been missing this whole time. That's going to satisfy us. It's going to fill us. That's what saturate means. You know, it's going to fill our hearts, and we will no longer be a disgrace to the nations because we will have that knowledge that we've been missing, which is the knowledge about ourselves, the knowledge about our soul, which is the temple man. See, it all goes back to the soul and Yahweh. Also, if you go down to verse 24, he also says, or actually, I'm gonna read verse 23 because it's gonna make everybody on the panel happy. I know that for a fact. Where it says, "Children of Zion, exalt and be glad with Yahweh your God, for He has given you a teacher of righteousness, and He has brought down the rain for you, the early rain and the late rain, and the first of the month." See right there, the teacher of righteousness. Um, you know, he's going to bring down the rain, and the rain is the knowledge, the Tanakh, the Tawara, the waters. You know, that knowledge, the hidden knowledge that you have to find. You know, it's the number 10th point on the cube. You know, untying, or no, it's number 9, I think. I'm sorry, it's like it. Untying knots and riddles, and that verse actually coincides with this verse in Zechariah chapter 10, verse 1. If you can go there right quick, and that's going to start off by saying, request rain of Yahweh in the seasons of the late rains of Yahweh, who has made rain clouds, and he will provide them a shower of rain for each man herbage in the field. See right there, it's telling you that when you pray for him for the rain, the knowledge, the Tanakh, you know, the wisdom, then in the season of the late rains, he will provide it. And going back to that Joel verse, he said he's going to provide that rain via the teacher of righteousness. And even with that, that's another link to that same the same chapter in Zechariah. If you go up from chapter 10 and go to chapter 9, and it's uh, chapter 9, verse 9, and it says, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout for joy, O daughter of Jerusalem. For behold, your king will come to you. Righteous and victorious is he, a humble man riding upon a donkey. See, that's that righteous and victorious king, who could also be this teacher of righteousness. If you go back to Joel, you know, he's going to bring forth the rain, the knowledge. And I think that coincides with actually rebuilding the temple. Like, that's a future prophecy. So just let you know that. Let's see. And then if you go down back to Joel, we're in the same chapter, I think chapter 3, and it's verse 24. And it says, the The granaries will be filled with grain, and the vats will overflow with wine and oil. I will repay you for the years that the abundant locust, the chewing locust, and the demolishing locust, and the cutting locust, my great army that I sent among you, consumed. And you will eat, eating and being satisfied, and you will praise the name of Yahweh your God, who has acted, I'm sorry, Slakia, who has acted wondrously with you, and my people will not be ashamed evermore. Then you will know that in the midst of Israel I am I, and I that am Yahweh your God. There is none other, and my people will not be ashamed evermore. See right there, it's that's that's another way that he's providing that satisfaction, that that fulfillment within our heart. He's going to give us, he's going to repay to us like all the knowledge that we've lost because of that great army that he sent among us, which is Esau. You know, Esau is Yahweh's hammer, and he sent them in many different ways so that we could acknowledge our guilt and come back to Yahweh. He sent it through the abundant locust, the chewing locust, the demolishing locust, and the cutting locust. You know, they came, they destroyed everything. They took everything. They harvested like us and the planet as well as like animals and a whole bunch of other knowledge and stuff and tainted it. So it's just telling you he's going to repay us for like what we endured. You know, because during that time, you know, we would be the remnant, and like I said, we would be, you know, worthy of these blessings as a nation. But those are pretty much, I'm not gonna say most of them, but those are like the main good ones that I had so far. If anybody else had anything to add to it, feel free.
I got something. God, thank you for that, Xavier. That was excellent. Now, I got to go a little deeper into this. Now we'll go to Ezekiel chapter 9, and it's going to tie everything that we brought out together. Right? I like when the brothers are in the temple. I'm sorry, when the brothers are in the temple, and the spirit comes out. Because before I did this, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But as soon as we get talking, that spirit starts moving. Yahweh starts working. It's like, man, he starts downloading stuff into me, you know. Ezekiel chapter 9. He then called within my earshot with a loud voice, saying, bring those near appointed over the city, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And behold, 6 men were coming from the direction of the upper gate that faces northward, each man with his sledgehammer in his hand. But one man among them was clothed in linen, with a scribe's slate at his loins. He came and stood by the copper altar. This is the time machine we're talking about, because you know in the past, with Moses, you had, you know, the Israelites were split from the left and the right. You get on this side, and one side, you're going to follow me, or you're going to follow the Baal, right? And they separated it like Yahweh always does. He always separates. That's the past. He does. He's doing it now. Spiritually, you can see it. In the future, it's going to manifest physically, right? Verse 3, then Yahweh ascended from atop the cherub. Here we go, the cherub, on which it had been, going to the threshold of the temple man. And he called to the man clothed in linen, on whose loins was inscribed slate. And Yahweh said to him, pass through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. There was his house again. And mark a sign on the foreheads of the men who sigh and moan for all the abominations that are done within it. Then he said to those within my earshot, pass through the city behind him and smite, that your eye not spare and do not have compassion. Old man, young man and maiden, children and women shall you slay, to utter destruction, but do not approach any man upon whom is the sign, which that's the sign being his name. Begin from my sanctuary. See, there you go. That ties into Ezekiel chapter, what I brought out earlier, Ezekiel chapter 3. Speaking to the house of Israel, his sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. He said to them, defile the temple and fill the courtyards with the slain. Go forth. So they went forth and smote throughout the city. See, that's the future, and that's the end game. Past, there is no end. And Yahweh is eternal, but it's a past, present, and future. Because it's easier for us to comprehend. We can't see eternity, but man, that's the part of this book, man. Yahweh God.
Oh yeah, this is Brother Isaiah again. Oh yeah, Yahweh God. By the way, it's been a good show, and basically I just wanted to bring out a little bit about the Levites, because you know, certain things was going around that temple can possibly be Kabbalah, but it's like if that was the case, that completely tarnishes like half or at least 80% of the duty of the Levites. And I just wanted to read a little bit about the Levites. So if you follow me to Numbers chapter 1, and it says Numbers chapter 1 verse 48, and it says, Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, but you shall not count the tribe of Levi. You shall not take a census of them among the children of Israel. Now you appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, over all its utensils and over everything that belongs to it. They shall carry the tabernacle and all its utensils, and they shall minister to it. And they shall encamp around the tabernacle. When the tabernacle journeys, the Levites shall take it down. And when the tabernacle encamps, the Levites shall erect it. And an alien who approaches shall die. The children of Israel shall encamp, every man at the camp, and every man at his camp, and every man at his banner, according to their allegiance. The Levites shall encamp around the tabernacle of the testimony, so that there shall be no wrath upon the assembly of the assembly of the children of Israel. The Levites shall safeguard the watch of the tabernacle of the testimony. The children of Israel did everything that Yahweh commanded Moses, so did they do. So pretty much if these people were starting believing these allegations that the temple is somehow Kabbalah, then who are the Levites and what do they do now? Because you gotta make up a new duty for the Levites. Because this is their duty. So I'm just saying.
Con. All right, brothers. I think we did a lot, man. Praise Yahweh. I mean, I feel spiritually nourished. Man, I fasted the past 2 days. I fasted. I didn't even realize I fasted until I know I fasted yesterday. I think I had some coffee this morning. I didn't even realize I've been working, man. You forget to eat. You get so full from this, man, from this knowledge. This is oceans.
You be thinking, man, I gotta read more. Do you be like, dang, it's like that emotion used to be like, dang, man, I ain't had nothing to eat. It was replaced with, dang, man, I ain't had nothing to read. Like, you know what I'm saying?
God.
I wanted to bring out the scripture real quick.
Go ahead.
This Proverbs chapter 3. I'm gonna start from verse 1. My child, do not forget my Torah, and let your heart guard my commandments, for they add to you length of days and years of life, and peace. Kindness and truth will not forsake you. Bind them upon your neck, inscribe them on the tablet of your heart, and you will find favor and goodly wisdom in the eyes of God and man. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and do not rely upon your own understanding. In all your ways know him, and he will smooth your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and turn away from evil. Now see, like, don't have understanding in your own eyes, and don't think you know everything, because you don't. Unless you got to keep the Torah. That's the only way you get back to that correct path. That's the only way you get on to the right path in life. And then you get back to Yahweh God. But our people hard-headed. Like, some of my people don't even like read. I mean, I used to be one of them people. I used to hate reading. But now I'm like, man, I never loved knowledge so much. And like Brother Trey Tell was saying, like, sometimes, you don't even realize, like, you ain't ate. You just rereading. Like, 6 hours then passed. You ain't had nothing to eat. And you're like, dang. Okay. But all I can say is all praises Yahweh.
God, when I was a Christian, like Josh said, once again, do you see it or are you just reading it? I remember the first time I experienced fasting, I was like, I want to eat. What do you mean fast? I'm supposed to starve myself and pray? I didn't understand it. I was just reading it, right? But then when it first happened, Yahweh's in control of all things. You fast, you don't even realize you fasted until, I don't know, you start losing weight. He's like, I haven't eaten in a while. Oh, that's Yahweh doing that. It's like autopilot. He's in control of all things. Praise Yahweh. Anything else anybody want to bring out?
Yeah, I got something. Since and first of another man, just praise Yahweh. You know what I'm saying, for one, because that's why I don't understand, man. Yahweh take His name out your mouth. You gotta look south. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. Isaiah 2, verse 2. Start there, because this is about today. It will happen in the end of days. The mountain of the temple of Yahweh will be firmly established as the head of the mountains. So once again, we go back, just like I was talking about earlier in Jubilees, we see what's that this whole temple tabernacle, the temple we're talking about. Hey, we're reading about it right there. The mountain of the temple of Yahweh will be firmly established as the head of the mountains, and it will be exalted above the hills. And we keep bringing out the why about the altar, about the incense rising up, right? Firmly established, and all the nations will stream to it. All the nations will stream to it. So everybody's going to be confounded. They're going to get tired, worn out. Then they're going to start saying, okay, we need Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? We sure do, right? And many people will go and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the temple of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For from where? From Zion will the Torah come forth, and the word of Yahweh from Yasharab. Yah Shalom. So that's all I'm saying is that, hey, got to get into this temple. How else you going to know yourself? So that's all I got on that. Praise Yah.
God. Oh, I got something to add to that. I really do. Can y'all hear me?
God.
Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. So it's in Haggai. We're going to Haggai. It's chapter 2, and it's going to be verse 9. Or I'm gonna start by verse 8, and it says, "Oh, actually, sorry, Salakia. I will go to verse 7 and then read through verse 9. So it says, I will shake all the nations, and the precious things of all the nations will arrive here, and I will fill this temple with glory, said Yahweh, Master Allegiance. Verse 8, mine is the silver, and mine is the gold, the word of Yahweh, Master Allegiance. Verse 9, the glory of this later temple will be greater than that of the first, said Yahweh, Master Allegiance, and I will grant peace to this place, the word of Yahweh, Master Allegiance. See right there. This last temple is going to be glorious, and it's unfathomable, but we welcome it. It's time for a change, and Yahshua is going to stand up upright, righteous, noble, because let me see, go down to the same chapter in Haggai, chapter 2, and go to verse 17. It's going to show you like what we went through. It says, I had struck you with blast and blight and hail upon all your handiwork, yet you are not returning to me. It's the word of Yahweh. See, he you know he set the stumbling blocks before us because we kept choosing to worship the things of our own handiwork, the things that our hands create, but he gives us the power to create. He's the one who created us. He gave us the knowledge. So in anything, it's him creating, not us. We're just tools. But that's it. But yeah, I want to say all praise to Yahweh who's a God. Thawad Alpha is glorious, the Shabbat that came to pass, and Peace to all the Torah keepers worldwide, and may Yahweh uplift y'all spirits, and y'all have a good night.
I just wanted to say one more thing. Yahweh Akkad also, but also like the 3 degrees. It's also like your mind. It's like the state of your mind. It's like if you in Egypt, your mind is dry. It's like it's darkness. It's like the darkness of mind, kashaf. And then as you start to elevate, your prayer is the sacrifice. You start to elevate, and you acknowledge that Yahweh is one, that there is none beside him, and he is the only one. And then you keep the word of Yahweh in your mind and in your heart, which is the TORAH, and you start to elevate. You vegetate your mind. It's the TORAH is like also water. It's like it gives you it's refreshing. It's you see a reflection too. That's why it's you within and without the temple man. But I just wanted to add that. But yeah, all praises to Yahweh Akkad. Shout out to all the brothers in Torah Nights. We ain't going nowhere. We here to stay. No time for that folly. But yeah, Yasharal, Shalom.
TK Mafia, TORAH. We out. Great job, guys. Yahweh Akkad, he is one. Praise Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.